Liberation. Yes, Foreign Affairs. On the communication. Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for your communication. And I want to communicate, actually to respond to one issue about the issue of unity and cohesion. Honorable Speaker and members, you're aware that each year we celebrate World Fisheries Day, which is supposed to take place every 21st of November. And this year, the venue that was chosen by the Minister of Agriculture was Bulisa District. And the letter to that effect was written on the 25th of September to the CAO confirming that date. But later that date was changed to 6th of December, which is tomorrow. Madam Speaker, on the 6th of December, which is tomorrow, this Parliament has not been able to receive any statement from the executive with effect. And two, the district of Bulisa, which is a host district, has not been able to get any funding or any response coming from the center, actually showing that this day is supposed to take place tomorrow. And yet, communication are going on to the accounting officers from other districts, inviting them to come and celebrate this day and to support the event. I want to know from you, Honorable Speaker, where is the unity and cohesion in celebrating these international days or World Days? Thank you.
Thank you, government. Comes in. Somebody will ask, what kind of code of conduct are we talking about? One, engaging in financial decisions that embed the objectivity in discharge of their duties, or sometimes conducting themselves in a manner that erodes public trust and confidence in the institution of legislature. Those are the code of conducts that I want you to know. Yes, government.
My colleague, for the concern about the Fisheries Day, I'm going to consult Ministry of Agriculture, and we shall give a brief to the member to know exactly what is going on about that day.
Is tomorrow. When have we ever received a report after the function? I mean, we need a statement. Function is
Right, Honorable, I was saying that I'm going to consult. So I'm going to consult during the course of the sitting.
There's a procedural matter. Procedure from...
Madam Speaker, I want the Prime Minister to be confident of herself. She's the Prime Minister here. The issue is there is a statement required. Let her direct the Minister of Fisheries to bring a statement and we put another paper with your discretion, Madam Speaker.
No, we'll amend the other paper.
Yes,
Please get a statement, and you need to fund the district.
And if she doesn't have one, Madam Speaker, I can help them.
Yeah. Yes, Eddie.
Right, Honorable Speaker, you have alluded to the fact that the institution of Parliament must be protected. And it is through the conduct of members that we are respected and what we put out. Honorable members, we did pass the Homosexual Act, and the Anti-Homosexual Act was passed by this House. And it was brought in good faith by the opposition. But I have been looking at the international press when we are being bashed that we could have been bought. Yet what we exercised was in accordance with the Constitution. The sovereignty of the people of the Constitution is done through the elected members of Parliament. That is the Article 1. And we did it under Article 79. So, right, Honorable Speaker and members, we have what we call foreign policy. When any member of parliament or a Ugandan has traveled, he must look at the national interest. And what the national interest has been as provided for in the chapter, in part 28 and in the article 8 of the Constitution. Wouldn't it be proper that foreign policy is adhered to, so that when you are a member of parliament, when you are a Ugandan and you have traveled, you work in accordance with the Constitution on the national policy or national position? Because in this case, the national position is in accordance with the act that was passed by this parliament. So when someone goes out and is the president of a party, and he thinks that even his own party did not do good in accordance with what he was, how do we protect our colleagues in the House who brought it and they were exercising the powers in accordance with the law? That one is a very bad practice. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members on the same? Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for referring us to Appendix F, the Code of Conduct. This House is only protected by us, how we conduct ourselves. And I want to join my brother from Kisoro, Honorable Kwizera, to share the pain. And we need guidance on how we shall conduct ourselves. If this House takes a decision on any matter, and then a political leader of any color or right says that particular group of people were either compromised, it leaves us, even after this parliament, right, Honorable Speaker, you can be the Chief Justice, you can be anything, Lop here can be a UN director, you can get into international organization. Right, Honorable, are you presiding over a house which is being compromised? Are you presiding over a house where, when laws are passed, they have partisan faces? The anti-homosexuality bill, which became law, was actually brought by Honorable Asman. Did the NRM MPs commit a suicide and a mistake to support that bipartisan law? Should we be castigated? Should we be traded off the integrity of this country because somebody wanted to access the visa? Honorable, right, Honorable Speaker, is that fair for political leaders from Uganda to speak recklessly, carelessly about the image of this parliament? Can it make us proud to be members of parliament where we are compromised? I sympathize with those who call themselves on the other side. This is very painful. I feel like I'm crying.
Honorable members, I want you to be on record that the bill was brought by an opposition member and is even a president of a political party, that is Jema. And it was also seconded by opposition. And then the whole House supported for the good of this country in the name of protecting the family. That was supported. The aspect of having cheap politics and trading the decision of a country, which is a national position, cannot be accepted by this country. And I am not going to ask, first of all, the members of opposition that I have, led by Honorable Mpuga, were not compromised by anybody. And they don't work for President Museveni. They are opposition members, and you cannot go there and claim that these members are working for President Museveni. They acted on their own way for the good of the people of Uganda, not for smaller envelopes. The only person that we know did not support, we know. But the rest of the people, that is honorable folks, the rest we know supported this bill and opposition is not compromised. If he's compromised, that is his business. Our members have integrity to protect. And I'm not going to ask Honorable Loeb to make a statement on that because he's not a party to it. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, over the weekend, we watched with horror on our television sets as once again, China is coping with a new viral infection, which is now affecting children. And I think they have gone back to masks again. And this is where we are trying to find out from the Minister of Health whether we are actually prepared on this matter.
Is it on communication?
No, it's a bit of an important matter.
How is it related to what I talked about?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Solomon. Talk about homosexuality.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, I want to remind ourselves the day we passed the Anti-Homosexuality Act.
I thought we had made a ruling on that. Commissioner, we have made a ruling on that. That's a very small thing. We can't discuss what somebody was discussing in the corridors of London because somebody wants to get handouts. Yes.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Gemma.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of national importance regarding the impending sale of Muslim properties, including the National Mosque at Gaddafi.
So you've gone to national importance?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
Yes, I was very clear it's a matter of national importance, Right Honorable
Okay.
Speaker, with your indulgence. Right Honorable Speaker, as we are all aware, there is an impending sale of Muslim properties, including Gaddafi National Mosque. This matter, Right Honorable Speaker, has political and security ramifications.
Isn't that matter in court?
Right Honorable Speaker, it is in court, and I'm not.
Huh?
I'm not discussing the court aspect because I am seized with knowledge on sub judice. I am trying to ask.
Can
Right
I
Honorable
hear
Speaker,
from my former lecturer?
may I land, Right Honorable Speaker? You allow me to land. Maybe you.
He will help you to learn.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In the House, which cannot be really discussed and resolved here. We all are at pains for what is happening, but I think the proper fora to discuss this matter is not, or forum is not this House at this stage.
And Daddy, can I hear from you?
Well, it presents tremendous difficulty on my part, but I can say, Right Honorable Speaker, one, the rules require that only you have the power to decide whether a matter is sub judice or not. Number two, you can only make that decision after hearing the contents of what the member
I suspected you to say that. Yes, Honorable Asuman, you had asked me for permission to bring the two parties to my office. I'm still waiting for the two parties so that we have a discussion and we see how we can learn on this matter. Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you
and thank my brother, the Honorable Segona, for putting proper context.
Also thank Yusuf.
No, I respectfully disagree with the opinion of my teacher, Yusuf Nsibam. Actually, the opinion of my teacher is not what the rules state. It is the position of Segona that captures the rules. So I respectfully disagree with him. Right on, Speaker, I want to find out from government whether this is a matter they have interested themselves into, whether it is a matter that concerns them, that a national treasure, right on, Speaker, Gaddafi Mosque is not only the headquarters of Muslims in this country, it is also one of the biggest mosques. It's also a tourist site. Those of you who have been there on a daily basis, people are coming from across the world to visit that treasure. In light of what is happening, I want to find out whether this is a matter that government has taken interest into and the possible political, spiritual, and security ramifications that may arise out of a sale of Muslim property.
Speaker, this is a matter which concerns all of us, and in particular government. I'm saying that because right now, Ministry of Gender is looking for some 2 billion to renovate that mosque. But I want to say, like the Sibambi said, that this is a matter in court, there is no way we can start discussing it here, but we are aware and it concerns us.
There is a procedural matter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my simple guidance from you is that, yes, the honorable member has brought a matter that really needs this house to be understood or discussed. But then now that he has brought it, isn't it prudent that we give government time to bring a proper statement, to give us facts of both sides before we even open the matter for discussion?
I am happy that Honorable Osman has made us to understand, to know, not actually understand, to know what is happening with the Muslim property. And the issue is also before court. And then government is also now aware. Without really going to, government really take an interest in it. Yeah, take an interest in that. Next item.
Item 3, bills first reading. The sugar amendment bill.
Yes, procedure.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
But you members, when business is flowing, we have very important things coming up. You start procedure, order, information.
Business is flowing, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity.
Ebwalu. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I am wearing this orange scarf. As you are aware, we are within the 16 days of activism and specifically trying to see how to end violence against women. Right Honorable Speaker, last week, the minister presented a statement on the floor of this house. And yesterday, as the Uganda Women's Parliamentary Association and the National Association of Women Organizations of Uganda and Oxfam, we held a meeting in the conference hall. And in that meeting, we had girls brought from Karamoja. I'm raising this, Right Honorable Speaker, because one testimony from a 12-year-old girl was that there were 300 girls in school
And most of them escaped because their parents wanted to marry them off
So
at
what,
an
what,
early age.
what procedure matter is
The
that?
procedure issue that I'm raising, Right Honorable Speaker, is that you suspended debate on the minister's statement and did indicate that we shall be able to debate that statement. And Right Honorable Speaker, I'm wondering, this is the procedure issue that I'm raising. When would it not be procedure right for you to inform us of the date when we shall be able to discuss this statement from the minister? Because the issue of shelters is an important aspect.
Honorable member, I don't work like a robot. That it will be on Monday and that is that, period. No. We'll look at what is on the order paper and then we assess whether, because the date ends on 10th, we shall discuss it. And the violence against women is also on men.
Three, bills first reading, the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023.
Honorable members, government seeks to amend the Sugar Act 2020 to establish Uganda Sugar Industry Stakeholders Council. However, I also note that 4 years after the enactment of the Sugar Act, the Sugar Board, which was a creature of Section 13 of the Act, has never been established. However, the matter will be interrogated in the committee. So we'll allow the minister to bring the bill for the first reading, and then the rest will be interrogated in the committee. Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Sugar Amendment Bill 2023 be read the first time. And attached is a certificate of financial implications.
Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 1291 of the Rules of Procedure, the bill stands referred to the Committee of Trade, Tourism, Trade and Industry, and the 45 days provided in the Rule 1292 applies. Thank you.
Item 4, response by the Leader of the Opposition to the ministerial statement on alleged enforced disappearances of persons.
Honorable members, you remember that the Leader of Opposition brought a report to this House, laid on the table, and government was given 30 days. Government came back with a report. And when government came with a report, opposition deemed it fit to come with a rejoinder on what government presented. And now we are getting a rejoinder on what government presented. There's nothing new that is coming. It is basically a rejoinder on what was presented and what they feel was not correct or whichever. Then, and we must finish this item today. We must finish. It is uploaded. Check in your eye.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker. And I'll join you in the argument that this matter should have ended in earnest, should have ended yesterday. In fact, if the Minister of Internal Affairs tells me that the missing 18 are in the parliamentary compound, I will seize ground and go and meet them, and we end it there and then.
Unfortunately, our parliamentary compound is not a detention center, so ours is for parking our cars.
Definitely, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm alive to that. But as a matter of surrender, if he did so, I would go and embrace them and seize this ground. I thank you for the patience.
and everyone enjoying in this, Right Honorable Speaker. I understand the fact that the House is stressed over this matter, but even the nation is even more stressed, Right Honorable Speaker. The very reason this House of Parliament should find every reason to end this matter in a manner that the public does expect us to end it, Right Honorable Speaker. My response to the minister's statement, I wish to state and remind ourselves of the role and duty of the legislature in situations like these. Right Honorable Speaker, Parliament, through its legislative mandate, molds the legal framework and shields the rights of every citizen, ensuring that the most vulnerable among us are protected and nurtured. Parliament, as the embodiment of the collective will of the people, brings human rights to reality. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, we must make it clear to everyone that our walkout and break from plenary activities was triggered by the continued indolence of government to address the most pressing and transgressing issues that affect our people and undermine their worth and dignity. That is something we couldn't withstand in an environment where our people's concerns are not prioritized. We demand answers, accountability, action taken, and redress for the violations, Right Honorable Speaker. The government should take full responsibility for its citizens as espoused in the international and national legal frameworks to which we subscribe, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, like the previous statement on the issue, the government has again taken a defensive approach to matters in which it is supposed to take a lead role in investigating and finding redress to the public outcry. It is not right in due regard to the overwhelming evidence presented at various fora. Besides the condescending style and language used in the minister's speech, Right Honorable Speaker, we have found his statement to be extremely disparaging, detached, and frosty to the victims and their respective families. It should stand rejected in its inadequate stance, Right Honorable Speaker. With a view to keeping our focus on the substantive issues, I will not respond to the assertions that are apparently intended to divert us, Right Honorable Speaker. But another day, we shall indulge in the figures and rankings of our country on an international scale, in as far as marines are concerned. That's not for today. As for now, let us first discuss the issues of disappearances and arbitrary killings in which the government is not only implicated, but has also failed to conduct and present to the public comprehensive findings. I hope in that regard, the minister will be proud that the 18 missing persons are isolated incidents, not warranting state intervention. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I'm sure most of us were here at the return of multi-party politics in Uganda. I can certainly state that it was never the decision of the ruling government to reverse the movement system. It was the decision of the people, and this did not come on a silver platter. Most of us are not strangers to these processes. I know for a fact, like most of us do, that this has never dawned on the ruling party that other political parties and actors deserve space or even a right to advance their ideas and philosophies. Right Honorable Speaker, back to the human rights concerns we raised vis-a-vis the minister's statement. I must state at the earliest that no response was made to the issues we raised. The minister's statement was purely a political narrative instead of giving the country detailed and specific account of missing persons and remedy to their families. I would particularize the issues, Right Honourable Speaker, with their attendant titles. 1, failure to conduct investigations. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, throughout the web of denials in the minister's response, the most evident and striking attribute painted thereon is that no investigations were conducted at all. We are saddened by government's inaction in the face of these gross violations. Yet time is fast running. The victims continue reeling and harrowing in pain, despair, agony, and anguish. Clearly, if we continue with this lethargic approach, we will not get any answer from this numb and unresponsive government. Let Honourable Speaker, I will demonstrate subsequently
Honourable Speaker, in your communication, you actually made it clear about the conduct of members. It's the right honourable colleague, the leader of opposition, right to call that the government is actually numb and unresponsive. I don't think we are numb, and yet is responding. And yet the government actually presented a statement, and you are responding to the same statement that the government actually placed on the House. How is that being numb? We are not numb. The statement was given by the minister, which you are responding to. So is the leader of opposition in order to call this government numb and unresponsive? Thank you.
Honorable members, I wonder why you're raising your voices. Use parliamentary language, and my brother Mpoga, by the way, is one of the most disciplined persons, and I know you will use parliamentary language. Please use the parliamentary language for us to achieve what we want. But as far as I know, this team is not numb.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Use another word, not numb.
Right Honourable Speaker, I do concede the fact that English is a second language to all of us, but I'm not numb to the feelings of members when I use a word not they are accustomed to. The other meaning,
Honorable Mpoga.
The other meaning
Honorable Mpoga, in the interest of peace, I know you're a peace-loving person. Get that word. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. These are your colleagues, your best friends. And I don't want you people to pretend like you're not friends. These are your best friends.
Right Honourable Speaker, I want to assure the honourable member that the word numb is not insulting.
Please, I'm not telling you to defend.
It is descriptive of situations. And I want to invite members to be calm about, and they'll be free to respond to my statements, because
Honorable Mpoga, Matthias, you're addressing one of your best friends. You're addressing one of your in-law or Mohozi, and you're telling your in-law you're numb.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I will recollect the phrase and paragraph where I use the word and try to hazard an alternative. Clearly, right, Honourable Speaker, if we continue with this lethargic approach, we will not get an answer from this government that is insensitive and unresponsive to the needs of the people. Under the law, right, Honourable Speaker, states not only have...
There's a procedural matter.
Madam Speaker, with due respect to the law, and history says, Madam Speaker, need protection
okay.
from the member of parliament from
It's
Nansan.
okay. You did not carry that seat from Nansan.
Madam
sit in.
Speaker, Madam Speaker, history of this country, in all leaders of opposition, have ranked Honorable Puga Mathias as the best law so far Parliament of Uganda has ever had since independence. Madam Speaker, basing on that, I don't know whether we are proceeding well by Honorable Puga placing English words in jargon to disorganize us by not using the English language but the English, so that he calls the government a failure of the day. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether we are proceeding well.
Honorable Macho, I am aware that you've not worked with any leader of opposition during independence and whichever. I know you've only worked with the two leaders of opposition, 2 or 3. So anyway, Mathias addressed the House and addressed it with dignity, with the parliamentary language, and with respect for your colleagues, and respect for everybody.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I want to assure the House of my utmost considered respect, and I should not in any way and any terms be deemed to be disrespectful of colleagues. Right, Honourable Speaker, I desire that that assurance rests with everybody's spirit. Right, Honourable Speaker, under the law, states not only have to refrain from intentional and unlawful deprivation of life, but must also take appropriate steps to safeguard the lives of those within their jurisdiction. In respect of the right to life, Uganda as a party is duty-bound to respect and ensure protection It is an obligation of states to establish effective facilities and procedures to investigate killings and cases of missing or disappeared persons in circumstances that may involve violation of the right to life. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm going to lay a series of attachments after my presentation, and one of them is a reference to Article 2 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, to which Uganda is a party and therefore bound. Right, Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the responsibility of the state to proceed with an effective investigation is engaged, even when there is no evidence that agents of the state have been implicated in the killing or disappearance, and even if members of the victim's family or others have not lodged a formal complaint about the killing with the authorities. This is a duty. This duty is more stringent when the disappeared person was thus held in state custody. In such circumstances, it is incumbent upon the state to provide a plausible explanation as to the detainee's fate, as well as to ensure that some form of independent monitoring was undertaken. During the time we have been away, Right Honourable Speaker, from plenary, we have managed to reach out to families of the missing persons. Their revelations are quite touching and detail very well the state offices and how they reacted to their approach. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm going to lay video evidence of this for your consideration. In light, I will highlight some of.
You lay the video evidence after I've looked at it personally as the presiding officer.
Much obliged,
in my
Right Honourable
office.
Right Honourable Speaker.
Then you will bring it.
That's why I've not made a prayer to play it.
Okay.
But I'll make it available as house property.
Okay.
For your consideration. I will highlight some of the cases that clearly indicate glaring contradictions in the statement presented by the minister vis-a-vis statements obtained from the police, witnesses, and other state departments. I'll make a few highlights, not the entire 18. Let me sample for the House to make a judgment. Case 1 is that of Damulira John. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the minister has presented a report indicating that Damulira John is not among the people in government custody. Contrary to what the minister stated in his report, Damulira's disappearance was reported to police and an SD reference was obtained to that effect. I have indicated this, Right Honourable Speaker. Contrary to what the minister stated, Damulira's data is well captured with the NIRA and that number. He had a national ID and voter location slip. Right Honourable Speaker, we should also note that at this stage, that the case of Damulira John, just like many other cases of enforced disappearances, was reported to police, and the police was on record admitting his arrest and detention. On 22nd November 2020, Mr. Patrick Onyango, the spokesperson of Kampala Metropolitan Police, confirmed Mr. Damulira's arrest and several others on allegations of participating in protests around the Kampala metropolitan area, but denied torturing the suspects. And I quote him, "It is true, he, Damulira John, is one of the people we arrested, but I cannot tell you where he and others are detained now. We did not torture any person. And as an institution, torture is prohibited as a form of interrogation." The Daily Monitor of 22nd November quote Mr. Onyango, confirming detaining Mr. Damulira John. Right Honourable Speaker, Damulira John's matter has been investigated by the Uganda Human Rights Commission, the Central Regional Office, and in a letter referenced, quoted, and dated 9th December 2020, addressed to the CMI, indicated that the commission carried out investigation at Central Police Station in Kampala, and it was established that the victim, Damulira John, is being detained at CMI Kampala. Right Honourable Speaker, that's correspondence between the Human Rights Commission and the Uganda Police. Right Honourable Speaker, for your information and the information of members, the relatives of Damulira John on 11th January 2021 reported this matter to State House as well, when in turn forwarded the same to the Uganda Human Rights Commission for further management. I have attached correspondence between the police and the Uganda Human Rights Commission on the arrest of Damulira. Right Honourable Speaker, invariably, this is a matter in dispute, and we have situated Damulira at CMI. Right Honourable Speaker, John Bosco Chibalama. The minister denies knowledge of the holding point of John Bosco Chibalama, which contravenes what the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Nabanja, asserted during the press interview in the corridors of Parliament. She had this to say, "But we are fortunate that Chibalama was traced. He was arrested, and recently in October, in a place called Kakiri. And he is one of those that killed. He came to have killed the police officers in Chiboga, Wachiso, and other places." Right Honourable Speaker, a missing person case for Chibalama was reported at Nakanyonyi Police Station under that reference, a day after his abduction on June 3rd, 2019, discrediting the minister's narrative that the family did not contact police for any remedy. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, the Deputy Attorney General, the Honourable Jackson Kafuzi, featured on NBS TV talk show The Frontline, and they tried to spin the Prime Minister Honourable Nabanja's narrative by insinuating that the Chibalama she referred to is the founding member of NURP party, who is Moses Ngongo Chibalama. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, when the Honourable Kafuz was challenged by the show host, who played the Honourable Nabanja's bite, He rephrased his statement and said she misspoke. I don't know what that means. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, these ping-pong games by government officials should concern every right-thinking person. The attempt at this spin clearly shows how sections of the ruling party hold Ugandans in contempt and will not stop at anything to show disdain for them. Is on record of Parliament over her total knowledge as to the arrest and whereabouts of Chibalama, and we took her for her statement on record. Right, Honorable Speaker, Mr. Chibalama was fully situated. Top government officials are aware of his whereabouts. I'm sampling a few for the attention of the House. Mr. Wangol was picked from his workplace at Chebando tax stage and bundled into a drone alongside 5 others, namely Noagaba, Kateni Bernard, Samba Silas, Kasato, and Zimla Dennis. The abductees were taken to Kakiri Army Barracks, where they were tortured, and they fully released save for Zimla and Wangolo. This abduction was witnessed.
Excuse me, young, please first come back, huh? Come back. Sorry. I didn't want these leaders of Uganda to leave pupils and teachers of Albert Cook Memorial School from Kasanda district, represented by Honorable Patrick Samba Oshabe. Please stand up. Your member of parliament, where is the Honorable Oshabe? And is your member of parliament is around, is just very busy. He's always very busy, but he's a good member. And represented by Nabagabe Kalule Flavia. Thank you so much for coming, and come again. Join me in welcoming them. Okay.
Right, Honorable Speaker, allow me to call. I read out. The names were Noagaba.
Honorable, sorry for the interruption. I know these children are going very far. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have teachers and pupils of Aiden Nursery and Primary School from Nachifuma County, Mukono. They are represented by Honorable Simbwa. Where is Honorable Simbwa? And Honorable Anif and Nabker.
Right, Speaker, as praying to correct the record, I have put on the Hansard that the names and Zimla Dennis. The abduction was witnessed by the area residents, and of Mr. Semudu was reported by his relative, Mr. Kafelu Michael, at Old Kampala Police Station. Victims of the bid to eventually have occasion to situate and locate government claiming responsibility. I also bring to your attention and that of the House that some government leaders, including cabinet ministers, such as the Honorable Judith Nabakoba, are on record claiming responsibility for some of the missing persons. During a church service at St. Andrew's Cathedral, Namukozi in Mityana, in the presence of the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, when the families of this freedom, the freedom of the victims from Mukireka SIU, she comes as a very useful witness in establishing the statutory layers involved in committing these. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in Nansana, a one Yusuf Mugaga, an NRM leader, is implicated by the community in several abduction cases. He offered to secure the release of Mustafa Luemba's freedom in exchange for a fee from his relatives. He went on to produce Luemba's national ID to demonstrate that he knew where he was being held. Mr. Yusuf Mugaga has accomplices at room 18 at CPS Kampala building, where they coordinated the ransom and abduction conspiracies. The other officials implicated in the conspiracies are Champs Sub-County Giso, Mr. Swaib, the former minister Ronald Chibule, and the former RDC Freddie Bamwine, among others. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the House should use this information to interrogate the activities of these individuals and come to a conclusion as to their role, whether they were being helpful or conspirators. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on claims that security forces use reasonable force during operations, on countless occasions, security forces have been captured on camera, torturing and beating up subdued non-combatants. On November 6, 2022, heavily armed security operatives cruising a numberless Toyota Hiace minivan, famously known as a drone, sealed off Gladiator Paradise in Masanaf, Lubaga Division, where they indiscriminately beat up revelers who were watching a village football match. In the scuffle, Kavma Jamshid, the member of the security detail of the opposition NUP party president, was subdued, handcuffed, and shot as he inquired about the basis of his arrest. I referred the House to the BBC documentary entitled Drones, the Vans That Take People Away, dated 13th February 2023. I have attacked that record, Honorable Speaker. On November 18th, 2021, Honorable Speaker, Sheikh Chilevu, a Muslim cleric, was subdued as recounted by his wives, Amina Nabada and Sophia Nakachwa, handcuffed and shot dead. In sight of his children, despite peacefully submitting to the arresting officers to take him for prosecution. I refer the House to the URN report titled Family Disputes Police Narrative on Killed Sheikh Chilevu. Right, Honorable Speaker, the evidence of his killing was all over the place and the circumstances. On May 8th, 2023, Hamed Muyodi, an NUP supporter, was shot in the thigh inside a Toyota Hiace minivan that contained JAT officers who had come to arrest him for unsubstantiated allegations. The security officer who shot Muyodi was neither charged nor court-martialed as demanded by the law. But the Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson, Luke Owesegire, described the tragedy as an accident. Right, Honorable Speaker, we're waiting for a report of the occurrence of that accident inside the van. Right, Honorable Speaker, not forgetting the March 2019 extrajudicial murder of Ronald Sebulime, who was handcuffed and shot while in the custody of police in a police patrol, alongside several security-inspired terror against members of the Fourth Estate, the media, and the peaceful protesting media, medical interns, and doctors that have occupied a fair share of this year. The excess brutality meted out on minors found at the Kawempe residence of Sheikh Yunus Kamoga is still fresh in our minds, Honorable Speaker. Relying on some of these cited incidents, Honorable Speaker, therefore, I strongly reject the position of government that security forces use reasonable force when conducting operations. I therefore insist that our report highlighting the security excesses was factual and premised on precedents, accounts of witnesses, and other credible sources who preferred anonymity for fear of reprisal. Right, Honorable Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on the issue of compensation talked about or mentioned in the report, it is on record that General Museveni pledged to compensate the bereaved families of some of the victims of the November 2020 riots, especially those he had categorized as non-rioters. 3 years later, nothing in that regard has been effected. He listed the 3 names of the then missing 177 persons and directed his intelligence to publish the full list, a directive that has since been defied and downplayed. The report on November 2020 killings remains concealed from the public, to whom government should be accountable. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have attached the record of the 2021 18 November Human Rights Watch report entitled 1 Year Later, No Justice for Victims of Uganda's Lethal Crackdown. I've also attached a video evidence of the Commander-in-Chief directing the publication of that list, which has never appeared up to now. Right, Honorable Speaker, at the November 2022 UN Geneva Convention, the Attorney General of Uganda, the Honorable Chewa Chiwanuka, a man I hold in very high regard, lied before the delegates that they had compensated some victims of the protests, and they went on to cite Honorable Zake Francis and exiled NUP journalist Ashraf Kassidye as beneficiaries of the compensation scheme. On the contrary, the duo have publicly denied ever getting any penny from the government as compensation for the bodily harm they suffered by the hands of security. Madam Speaker, I want to confirm on record that I was the attorney for Kassidye, and therefore his matter has never been compensated. His matter was handled by Justice Sekana, and the state has been playing games since. So it's never been conclusive, and so therefore no compensation. Madam Speaker and colleagues, it is only through relentless efforts that some families of the deceased 15-year-old Amos Segawa have been awarded some meager compensation. Ms. Nachito, the mother, was awarded by Justice Musa Sekana 50 million shillings, which she complained to be too small for the life of her son, whose right to life was denied by the two-day November 2020 shooting spree. So I further have attached the ruling in Ms. Janet's cause number 011122 of 2021, Haji Chito versus the Attorney General. It's full attached, Right Honourable Speaker. Therefore, Right Honourable Speaker, the claims that government has compensated the victims of the November 2020 protests are delusional and a naked lie that even the families of the victims can attest to. Therefore, it should not be kept on the record of Parliament, Right Honourable Speaker. Those who will come after us will never understand how we had that on record. Right Honourable Speaker, detecting registration number plates of vehicles with security missions. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I find totally impractical that the government, as by its statement, expects people to take records of registration number plates in tense circumstances when masked men, gunmen in drones have their fingers read on the trigger. In July this year, security personnel of the Chief Military Intelligence traveling in a drone shot dead a 34-year-old Jacqueline Narwanga, a resident of Nakabogo village in Wakiso district. The deceased was on her way to her garden when she found herself entangled in a security operation and was killed just because she was about to witness an abduction operation. This implies that even if she had taken a record of the security vehicle, she would have been unable to be unable to live to tell the story as a witness. I refer the House to the July 25th, 2023 Daily Monitor report, which I have attached, entitled "Army Stray Bullets Kill Woman Going to Her Garden." Besides, security is fond of switching registration number plates upon accomplishing their missions. Right Honourable Speaker, this was evident in the tenure of Major General Mzee Sabiti as the Deputy Inspector General of Government, Inspector General of Police, when his vehicle number plate was switched to a Toyota Hiace drone for an operation. This is the Deputy IGP switching number plates. Right Honourable Speaker. The police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, came out in defense of the saga and stated that it is their tendency as security to switch number plates depending on the magnitude of the operation they intend to conduct. I also reflect on the various by-elections like Omoro, Soroti, Bukedi, among others. The House will take a record
Yes.
And I'll make a determination. The House will take a record.
Yes.
And I'll make a determination.
Yes.
Right Honorable, this is a House of Record, being Parliament. I rarely interrupt very decent men like Honorable Mpuga. But listening to him and reading through, I'm wondering whether it's a rejoinder or a new statement. Of the people whom I don't want to put on record, like now, Ukedeya, can he refer to which page did the minister indicate? Because rejoinder, you don't bring new things. But there are a number of new things that has been brought. Now, like on this one of cow dung and when a dung is on the number plate, you may not even know whether it's a human dung or a cow dung. Going into the specific, which page?
I am Honorable Law. You're making a rejoinder on what the minister responded to. And in the report of the minister, I did not see my district. And I'm a woman member of Parliament for that district. I will defend it to the latter.
Honorable Speaker.
Let's talk about abducted people because there's nobody abducted from Bukedea.
Honorable Speaker, the beauty is that I went to the same law school we went to, and we all understand the concepts of rejoinders. He's just trying to divert me from presenting this, and I know his game. He's serious at what he's doing, but I want to assure him that I'm equally serious.
Honorable Bukedea was not included. You withdraw Bukedea.
Right, Honorable Speaker. The whole idea,
Law.
That's why
you listen to your attorney. Bukedea was not involved. Let's not go into something.
Right, Honorable Speaker, for the sake of tranquility and peace, and to avoid interruption by who is deliberate on disrupting my presentation, we shall use the other examples and drop Bukedea.
So you've withdrawn Bukedea?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, withdrawn Bukedea. Honorable members, let's wait. Honorable members,
Madam Speaker, I also want to go code. No, Madam Speaker, I also want to.
Honorable members, Honorable Guang, first sit. Honorable Guang, first sit. All of you sit. All of you sit. All of you. And I'm reminding you this. If I see you standing more than 2 times, I'll get you out. Honorable Lob, as we've agreed, don't bring in some things that will anger some people. Let's talk about the 18 people, the shrinking space, all those kind of things. You read your statement.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to assure the House that I'm very methodical.
And members, I will give you time to debate. I'll give you members.
I want to assure the House that I'm very methodical. And if you really, if it does please you, Right Honorable Speaker, I would play video evidence of everything I'm talking about. Otherwise,
can we go to your report?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I can understand the discomfort
And I want
this rejoinder is bringing. Right Honorable
Yes.
Speaker.
There's a procedure matter.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue Honorable OO raised a pertinent issue on the rejoinder. Is indeed procedural right that you give your ruling on the how rejoinders are done, so that this parliament takes a precedent even for the future on how we can manage reports and counter reports.
Thank you very much. Honorable, she has allowed me to speak. Right, Honorable Speaker, we all have senior six or equivalent that allows us to be in this house, and therefore we understand English. Right, Honorable Speaker, what we expect as a house, that the leader of opposition should respond to what the minister presented on the floor of this house. That's what a rejoinder is. Yes, all of us have been to school. All of us have been to school. And nobody should attempt to take us back to school. So could you guide, Madam Speaker, that the leader of opposition restricts himself to respond to what the Minister of Internal Affairs presented on this floor? But when you start saying the Attorney General was in Geneva and so forth, you're on a fishing expedition. So we want your guidance over that matter, because we are keenly listening and we are going to respond. And we shall respond to what he has brought, not bring new issues.
Honorable members.
Issues, yes.
Honorable members. Now for you, just now looking for you. First, wait. Honorable members, the leader of opposition brought a report to this house, and government was asked to respond item by item. Now, after government responding an item by item, where they felt they were not satisfied with what government responded to, strictly on what was brought on the floor, to the response that was given. So the rejoinder that you're giving is responding to what General Muhoozi gave, and strictly it should be to what General Muhoozi gave. Not bringing
Speaker.
Yes, you're conflicted.
Me?
Yes,
I'm
you
not.
first sit. You're making a guidance on my ruling. Okay, let me give Nwagaba to speak, not you.
Speaker, and I thank you for your ruling. In a rejoinder like the leader of opposition is making, you are not limited to responding strictly to the response by the other party, but you can, in responding to that response, you can expound. And what the leader of opposition is doing is just expounding when he is rejoining.
Can I have Kiror? Kiror? Kiror?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want really, when we go to law school, we should not apply the law, understanding of the law selectively.
To what benefit?
To what benefits you? That would be very mean of us. You can be senior, but you have not read the law and understood. You get it? You see? Right, Honorable Speaker, I think let's apply the rejoinder in the strict sense. We have chosen to use the word rejoinder. If an application has been filed and somebody has done a reply to that application, and the court gives you the latitude to do a rejoinder, it is not to open the Pandora box. No, you rejoin to certain specific issues which are being raised in the response, which you want to clarify on. But you don't broaden it. And those are the rules.
Honorable Fox.
I thank you. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Can I have silence?
Honorable Speaker, matters of human rights should never divide us. We should all speak with one voice when it comes to matters of human rights. And we should be candid, we should be honest, we should be truthful. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Nwagaba was 1 year behind me at law school. I have known him for a very long time. And the Honorable Nwagaba knows that a rejoinder is restricted to matters already canvassed. The matters must have been dealt with, and you only rejoin to matters that were raised. Right Honorable Speaker, the law.
Fox, is there a difference between a reply and a rejoinder?
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker.
Because what he's talking about is a reply.
Right Honorable Speaker, you are absolutely right. And what we are dealing with this afternoon is a rejoinder. The law, whom I respect immensely, should do us a favor and restrict himself to the matters that the Minister for Internal Affairs raised. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
When you're making a reply, you often suggest and make a thorough response for one to believe whatever you're saying. You can even go beyond what was mentioned. That is a reply. But now when you look at a rejoinder, it is restrictive to what was raised, the objective of what was raised. Honorable Law, why don't you give your response to what was raised?
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you. Actually, I can confirm. I can
tell you to stand up.
I can confirm, Right Honorable Speaker, that many a member did not read the minister's statement. In fact, the subtitles I am offering in my rejoinder are picked from the minister's statement. I can confirm they did not read it.
You respond to the minister's statement.
And I am surprised that they are supplying a diversion to this house. Each of these subtitles is picked from the minister's statement.
You respond to the minister's statement.
Yeah, and I would like members to really pay attention. And I'm trying to look for the source of the discomfort, and I'm not getting it. Honorable Speaker.
Please go ahead and reply the minister's statement.
Honorable Speaker.
It's on page 11. The page where you are
trying to remind members that the subtitle I was handling is titled Detecting Registration Number Plates of Vehicles in Security Missions, because the minister said that the public is duty bound to detect and report car number plates. And I am reporting a serious disability to the public in detecting these car number plates. Is that an import? It's not an import. So, Honorable Speaker, I am responding in very strict terms so that the House can understand the factors under which the minister's demands of the public are improbable and out of space. Honorable Speaker, three killings in Kampala clearly showed clues on the police vehicle that was involved in the murders along Kampala Road in the Central Business District, which is dotted with cameras. If the security cared to apprehend the crew on UP 99917, it was upon them to rely on the CCTV footage to trace the movement of this particular vehicle. The police have the capacity and Infrastructure to revisit the CCTV records of November 18th to 20th to detect the route of the killer patrol cited in this documentary. I am privy to the fact that, Right Honourable Speaker, the same security operatives heavily relied on these CCTV records to trace for suspected protesters, as well as crack down on MOP activists who would later on be disappeared by drones. It is therefore deliberate that security does not track its own errant personnel despite the presence of CCTV equipment to do so. The last time we checked on the killer patrol, UP 99917 was stationed at Katwe Police Station in Kampala. The Internal Affairs Minister should be able to effectively use this information. Right Honourable Speaker, alleged uncooperative attitude of relatives of the missing victims. Right Honourable Speaker, the government indicates that their recently deployed team of detectives disguised themselves as an NGO, retrieve information from the relatives of the missing persons. The minister did not satisfactorily delve into the ingredients of what their intelligence come NGO obtained from the bereaved families of the missing 18. The details of the identity of the NGO are a mystery, and so is the said report, which I would so wish to be tabled before Parliament, Right Honourable Speaker. The people have always been free to share information, their despair and the agony they are going through in search of their beloved ones, to the extent of visiting the perpetrators at CMI, international bodies like the defunct UNHRC, State House, political party offices, and UNHRC. In the course of seeking redress, Right Honourable Speaker, they have shared confidential documents and even spoke to the media. I invited the House to follow the documentary, The Missing 18, authored by my office, and I have also attached video evidence to ascertain the existence of these families and their willingness to testify at their missing loved ones. Right Honourable Speaker, prosecuting errant officers. The government has been deliberately declining to prosecute errant security officers who commit atrocities, but instead elevates them in rank. Because, Right Honourable Speaker, this response is in part to respond to the minister stating that they have been acting on their errant officers. And we are saying not at all. Instead, they have been promoting them. And by doing so, promoting impunity. For instance, former Masaka RPC Enoch Abaine, who shot and injured the journalist Arasef Kashidi, was transferred and promoted to the environmental police in Luzira. The same Abaine is known to be a Ritho with blood stains in his hands. During the 2017 age limit rally held in Rukongeri, Abaine allegedly shot a 19-year-old man. Instead of being interdicted and apprehended for his deeds, he was in 2018 transferred to Mackay University and promoted to Chief Security Officer. The famous 2011 walk-to-work-based tormentor, United Gilbert, was promoted from ASP to Superintendent of Police, Right Honourable Speaker, as a highlight. Right Honourable Speaker, the command of the infamous Kasese killings, the one Peter Rail, was elevated from brigadier to general, and even sits comfortably with us in Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, CMI Captain Iwan Bashir Mango, who in January 2022 shot and caused the leg amputation of a traffic police officer, Robert Mukebes, remains at large, and the EPDF is hesitant in prosecuting him. In fact, the defense spokesperson, Brigadier Fred Kulaji, said they were unable to track down Captain Mango, so he remains at large. As the example of Honourable Speaker, as to how impunity is promoted, the ministers claim that the police driver of truck number UP 4841, constable number 39975, Mr. Aktil Nasasira, was apprehended are baseless, as none of the relatives of Rita Nabukenya, who the minister named Nabukera, was informed as required by principles of law and natural justice. The people who witnessed the accident were not interrogated for statements. Police did not go to Malago Hospital where the deceased's remains were conveyed. Nabukenya's death was a matter of public interest that should have attracted ample press coverage, but there is no record of the said arrest of Atikulu Nasasira. Right, Honourable Speaker, that family never received the information. They remain agitated that the government neglected their plea to apprehend the killer of their daughter. Right, Honourable Speaker, pre-trial detention. The norm of lengthy detention has become synonymous with the NRM government, Right, Honourable Speaker, especially whenever an opposition political activist or Muslim terror suspect is arrested. We established the reason behind these prolonged detentions is to enable the torture victims to have ample time for their physical injuries to heal. We evidenced this in the case of our Snoop supporter in Kasese, Samuel Masereka, and of course, exiled Ugandan novelist Kakwenza. When their wounds sustained from torture recover, they are presented in court. Though the government report attributes pre-trial detention to the limited human resource in the judiciary, it is illogical and deceitful. We have witnessed situations where high-profile cases involving ministers and government officials, they were cited in the Karamoja Initiative saga, speedily tried. Yet the same criminal justice system has many times tried the opposition activists after spending more than 48 hours in police custody and safe houses. For instance, Damshid Kavumani's colleagues, who were abducted on November 6, 2022, were lined in Mwanga 2 court a month later in December 2022, after a writ of habeas corpus was filed compelling security officers at CMI to panic and drop him at Old Kampala police station. Allegedly, Right Honourable Speaker, a one Swaiman Jakana Naduli was detained in September 2022 at Makindi military barracks for a prolonged period prior to his alignment in the court in Nakaseke. The detention, according to his family members, deprived him of access to his specialized medication, which eventually caused his death. Right Honourable Speaker, our findings established that 12 of the persons who were reported missing were arrested on suspicion of having committed several offenses and were either released on police bond or court bail. UHR stated in their report, we are quoting now the UHR report, that was equivocal in their findings. We also informed the House that the UHRC chairperson, Ms. Mariam Wangadia, is on record disclosing her fears and insecurity after asserting that her colleagues carry firearms to in-house meetings. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, how do we be convinced that an insecure chairperson is in the right state of mind to investigate other people's rights violations when her own rights are in contention? Right Honourable Speaker, on the issue of political prisoners in custody, there are dozens of political prisoners languishing in custody on charges that the state has deliberately failed to conclude due to inadequate evidence. For example, Olivia Lutaya and dozens of opposition NUP supporters are still facing off with the court-martial, despite a 2021 Constitutional Court ruling that annulled such trials. On 15th December 2022, Right Honourable Speaker, court ruled that all those persons not subjected to military law and are currently being tried before any military court are ordered that their files be transferred to the civil courts under the direction of the DPP, Right Honourable Speaker. This directive has, however, been disregarded to date, with political prisoners continuously facing an endless trial and all their bail attempts thwarted, despite presenting substantial sureties, who include blood relatives and credible leaders. We call on the Minister of Justice to explain to the country why the General Court Martial is contemptuous to the Constitutional Court ruling on trial of civilians. I refer the House to the Constitutional Court petition number 44 of 2015, retired Captain Amos Biarugaba and others versus the Attorney General, Right Honourable Speaker. I have attached that ruling, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I bring to your attention the fact that dozens of NUP supporters who merely wore a party red beret have been subjected to a lengthy pre-trial detention at the hands of the court-martial without any incriminating evidence. But on the other hand, ADF suspects, Jamil Mukulu, alleged to have killed dozens of students at Chwamba Technical Institute in 1988, and Dawood Rashid Shoto, alias Sinjovu, alleged to have killed tourists at Queen of the National Park, are facing trial in civilian courts, Right Honourable Speaker. Is this duplicity? If not miscarriage of justice, Right Honourable Speaker, what should we describe this to be? For a criminal justice system to subject NUP supporters exercising their political right to a court-martial on one hand, and try ADF terror suspects in a civilian court on the other hand. But without trial. The Commissioner General of Government Prison, Right Honourable Speaker, Mr. Johnson Bashaija, recently decried the influx of prisoners on remand that have overwhelmed the prison system, the prison service cells. According to the UPS, out of this 76,367 inmates, 39,453 are convicts, while 36,422 are on remand, status of detention without trial. The law clearly stipulates that prisoners should spend at most 180 days on remand, an equivalent of 6 months. But unfortunately, the majority of inmates, including NUP supporters, illegally under court-martial, have spent more than that time. I will symbolically, Right Honourable Speaker, cite Abu Matovu, who was abducted from his workplace in Kampala in 2020. His mother, Ewan Nakabuye Hadija, and the father, Mwalimu Kabi Bukenya, resident of Bukana village in Nakagongo Parish, Matete Sub-County in Sembabule district, revealed that their son is rotting in Chitaria prison without undergoing any trial. Right Honourable Speaker, since 2020. Right Honourable Speaker, institutionalized Islamophobia. Minister says the Ugandan prison service statistics reflect 16.4% of Muslim inmates, 29.5% Protestants, and 43.1% Catholics, which is obvious given the numerical setup of Christian faith, even the national census figures. But our area of concern, Right Honourable Speaker, is the deliberate campaign to depict Muslims as usual treason and terror suspects each time there is a high-profile murder. I am much alive to the fact that most terror suspects with the pending cases at the High Court International Crimes Division are Muslims, Right Honourable Speaker. There have also been persistent raids on madrasa schools, notably Imam Raida Islamic School in Buloba in 2023, and the Kamoga Home Rehabilitation Center, where heavily armed security officers were filmed torturing Muslim minors in 2023, among others. Right Honourable Speaker, without necessarily having to belabor the House, I have provided a chronology on page 15 of assassinated sheikhs without killers identified or tried successfully. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, page 16 offers this clear chronology of sheikhs and imams that have been killed, and at every moment, the immediate suspects are Muslims. It is worth noting that in all these cases, the courts have not convicted any single individual. Right Honourable Speaker.
There's a procedure.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want your guidance, Right Honourable Speaker, on this report or rejoinder. When you analyze the attached documents, especially the national IDs and the vehicles alleged to be kidnapping, you can neither read the number plate nor